guys, how's it going? Welcome to Legendary. My name is Pat Crane. I am the de facto host for tonight's show. Gary is not with us tonight. Gary, we hope that you come back next week so that I don't have to do this again. No, I'm just kidding, of course. But coming up tonight, we have a couple of different things. Number one, where is the beta, as Olivia would say. And by the way, hi, it's Olivia Grace. Look at that.
Hi, it's me. It's one of those.
It is.
I'm here.
It is. And of course, you know her from WoW Insider and from... Where the hell else are you right now?
WoW Insider, Zam, Gamebreaker. I'm all over the internet. I'm in the internet.
Yes.
That's where I am.
Yes. Yeah. You and I both have to apologize to the entire internet for being all over it at some point. But we have a bunch of stuff coming up on this show. Number one, we have new engineering items, profession catch-ups, Siege of Orgrimmar, all this kind of stuff. But let's dive into the first thing at hand, and that is Diablo III: Reaper of Souls. This is the big WoW news of the week.
The big Warcraft news this week was the launch of Diablo III: Reaper of Souls, which came out on Monday night.
Right.
Monday night, and I believe it was midnight that it became playable in the US, so maybe midnight Eastern. I don't know if it was midnight Eastern or midnight Pacific, and that's because I was lucky enough to be at the launch party, so I was drinking beer.
Well, that's cool, man. So how was the party? What was going on?
It was a pretty awesome party, actually. Yeah, they had this really cool. Oh, let me see if I can find it, or did I throw it out already? They had these little cards. Excuse me, Leaning. Here we go, because I've just seen one. So you can see how well I did on this particular card. But they gave us these little cards.
Okay.
So you could get a tattoo, you could get a caricature done of yourself, you could do some graffiti on the wall, you could get your photo taken, you could go to the art gallery and look around. And all of those got you a little sticker if you could see those little exclamation point things there. Yep. And once you got collected stickers, you then got prizes, which you could see at the bottom. And again, I did very poorly at this. I obviously, on this particular card, collected no stickers. So well done me. But yeah, it was pretty cool. So they had all of those things. Yep. There was a bar. There was it was in this crazy church, this venue called Vibiana in LA. And it was all like vaulted ceilings, and it was all just like glowing bright red, and they had like Diablo quotes projected onto honestly, the venue was just amazing. The venue was awesome. I could have just sat there and they could have done nothing else. I'd just been happy sitting in the venue all night, just going, wow, this is so cool.
Right.
They had they had a live stream, and they had some toasts and announcements. It was a really fun night. It was just fun to sort of hang out with. Everyone was so excited about the expansion because it's so cool. Like, there's so much that's changed in there. And I've seen a few people sort of saying, oh, well, it's not really an expansion because it doesn't offer enough new content, but so much has changed. And I honestly think that, like, I have to say, like, when Diablo 3 first came out, I played through it once. I didn't really enjoy it. I sort of found it fine, but I didn't love it. Yeah. And now I'm kind of like, now I do. I find it really fun and really addictive again. That's
good because, well, in me too. I mean, I came back to it after, I think I played it for like 2 or 3 weeks after it first came out and all that kind of stuff. And so, I mean, I was playing it quite a bit, and then the newness of it faded, and I went back to WoW and did that whole thing, and then I came back to it like a week before launch, and just to kind of pick it up again, to kind of try to figure it out again. And I finally have my character up to level 50.
Yay, congrats.
And I picked up what's the new character, Crusader?
Oh, that's so good. Are you playing one?
Well, I started one. It's in Act 1, so I mean, it's at like nothing right now, but it seems kind of cool.
So honestly, I picked one up and I played all the way through Acts 1 through 5, apart from the final boss fight in the beta, and I just love the Crusader. And I've actually, because I'm starting again on a US account, so I started a Demon Hunter to take advantage of the 100% bonus XP weekend and the 50% bonus XP that we had prior to that. So I was like, right, I really want to take advantage of these, but I can't have a Crusader yet,
right?
Because it hasn't launched. So I'm just like, right, let's get on with this and go through the content with the Demon Hunter, and it's been so good. Like there's also, I feel like they've retuned the levels, like Torments are much harder now, and we've also got obviously the whole new act, but Enchanting and Transmog, like, have you had a go at those?
Yeah, well, I saw them and I was very curious about them, but I don't think for Transmog, don't you have to be like a certain level for that?
Yeah, I believe you pick it up once you get into like you get
level
I think it's
60. I think
into level 60, and I don't know if you have to level 60, but you have to get to a certain point in Act 5 where you meet Miriam, who's the transmog lady.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've met Miriam.
Take her back to the town, then she'll start doing transmog for you. You have to pick up the transmogs though, so you'll have a lower level initially.
Right.
That's just how that goes, and there's also enchanting with her as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So we're bringing some of the WoW stuff into Diablo, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just kind of throwing all this. They're throwing all their different IPs around to all the different games, like all the different we have Enchanting and we have Transmog now in Diablo, and then we have everybody in Heroes, and then. And that's in technical alpha, and that's still going well, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, it's still great. It's on the second hero rotation, sorry, the third free hero rotation, and it's great fun. And actually, talking about the transmog stuff in Diablo, it's something that I'd love to see them bring over into WoW. I don't know how many people have used it, but the way the transmog system works in Diablo, and they actually mentioned. I forget when exactly, but it was after the launch of the Reaper of Souls alpha and then beta, that they were talking about bringing the transmog thing into WoW. So basically how it works is you go and you collect items. So if you get a legendary item, you get that look as a transmog. So say you get, I'm trying to think of a good example from WoW, say you were Warglaives of Azeroth. Say you got the Warglaives of Azeroth, you would actually just pick those up, and once they hit your inventory, it's like, right, now you have this look, this Warglaives of Azeroth look that you can apply to pieces.
Right.
Obviously, we know in WoW that legendaries aren't transmogable. But just to take that idea, so say, you pick up a dagger, and as soon as you put that dagger in your inventory, then that transmog can be applied to any dagger. Even if you delete that dagger, you disenchant that dagger, you don't have to hold on to it. It's all just
great.
It's so good. Yeah, it's such a good system. Once you've acquired that look, you can apply that look to any of your gear. Right. And I just love the idea. Personally, it's not something that troubles me particularly, but I know so many people who have a ton. Matt Rossi from WoW Insider is a fine example of this. He has, I think he's got 6 characters, all of whose void storage and bags are full, just with transmog gear.
Nice.
And it's just wow, that's insane. That is a ton of stuff. So something like that in WoW would be really awesome.
Yeah, and maybe they're working on something like that for the next release, Warlords of Draenor.
Whenever the heck we see that, quietly.
Of course, the big question this week is
where the news questions.
Where the hell is the news this week for everything?
Seriously.
I mean, where is the beta? What's going on?
Where is our beta? Oh my god! I don't know. Maybe chat room disagrees, maybe you disagree. But once they brought the pre-orders out, I was just expecting beta.
Yeah.
You doing the same, Pat?
Well, yeah. I mean, it was the whole thing was, to me, it was. They started releasing all this new content, right? They kind of did the healing round. They did the healing blog. They did the blog before that, talking about the stat squish and everything like that. And then they stopped.
Yeah, and then just tumbleweed.
Then Blizzard just went, "We are not saying anything more. Yeah. These are not the droids you're looking for. Yeah. This is."
Exactly. And I suppose GDCs happened in last week was GDC and. Right. PAX is coming up, but it's still just what's happening?
And the release of Reaper's Souls, and so maybe they were giving that a little bit of room or something like that. I don't know, but it just seems it really does seem to me like something is wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sort of now thinking, well, we've been very positive about the sort of the release timeline being not quite so ominous as it looks from this December date. But honestly, and it's still, even if we had a 6-month beta like we have for Mists of Pandaria, April, May, June, July, August, September, that's still not December. So that's something. But it's making me wonder what on earth is happening. Has there just been some kind of problem in the whole Blizzard internal systems? What's going on? It's so weird.
Yeah, it definitely does seem like there's something that's up right now, and I don't know exactly what it is. But it was just there was lots of communication, and now there's nothing, and so that hole needs to be filled with something, especially for people like us. The people that are watching this stuff for everybody else, right? And so we're trying to, we're looking at this going, wait, what could this absence of stuff mean to everybody else? I don't know.
No, we don't know. And I mean, like, maybe it means that they're really, really close to releasing beta and that we'll have the typical flood of information coming really soon. Or maybe it is literally just, I mean, God, I hope that's the case, because I feel like Blizzard's asking a lot of people, saying buy a level 90 and the expansion, which isn't even in beta yet. We put this December end date on it. I feel like that's kind of asking a lot from players to trust them. I don't know. It's kind of weird, and I'm kind of sort of surprised that we haven't seen any kind of beta or any more information yet, really.
Right.
It's just plain weird. But one thing we have seen is obviously the level 90s, and I was really curious, Pat, because I know that you raid a lot more than I do right now.
Sure.
I do my flex runs for my heirloom, which I finally got.
Hey, congratulations.
10 garage kills, finally got an heirloom. So now I'm going to get 9 million.
Awesome.
But yeah, the boosted 90s, obviously we've had a show since they happened.
Yeah.
But it's 2 weeks. So how do you think that's going? How do you think, like, are they in your content? How's it working out?
Well, okay, so I know that boosted 90s is kind of a thing with a lot of raiders right now, and this is a subject that is a little bit intense. Maybe we should say it that way. Some people are really okay with it, because it's all about the player. It's not about the tune, right? So you can bring whatever you want for the most part, and I think that people will be okay with it. But then there are some other people that take the stance of, no, we will not have any boosted characters in this run, in this flex run. We will never, ever do that, ever. And
You're seeing that, actually, people saying like they're banning boosted characters from flex runs?
Right. And so they're saying no boosted characters, and we can tell because your gear is not that great and all this kind of stuff. So that they're just actually saying no to that. And then LFR is LFR. LFR is even more LFR than LFR used to be.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I don't know, that's a funny one. Like, I mean, my boosted 90 is being geared through honor gear, so I'm probably just going to end up with a fully honor geared boosted 90 with a little bit of conquest gear as I start doing arenas on it.
That's cool.
And like, that's the same as all my characters. The Shammy's in raid gear, but the warrior's not, and none of them are in proper raid gear. They're all just in a mixture of honor and conquest gear. Like, if you can tell a boosted 90 just by looking at it.
Right. Well, I think that there's a big difference between doing something in PvP versus raid, because because of group sizes and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I think that there's totally different expectations from that, right?
I have definitely seen a bunch of people complaining about the boosted 90s in battlegrounds, in random battlegrounds, particularly in those 2 battlegrounds that you have to do legendary quests. So Silvershard Mines, Temple of Kotmogu, where people are just saying, oh my God, these boosted 90s are coming in and just ruining everything. They don't know what they're doing, etc., etc. And I find that a bit odd, because like the majority of people at the moment who are boosting characters are the people who are current World of Warcraft players. Like, although I don't doubt there'll be a small percentage, I sincerely doubt that the vast majority of the players we're seeing doing this are coming back to the game, haven't been playing since Wrath, Burning Crusade, dropped out in Cataclysm, something along those lines. So I feel like even if, maybe it's just a case that being on a class that they don't know is sort of accentuating the fact that they don't know mechanics so well,
right,
and they know mechanics in the first place,
right?
Or like that they could pass at it because they were like really good at doing DPS or something.
Well, it was really funny because when that first happened, when they first released the boosteds, right? Everybody was getting the boost, and then they were going straight into Throne of Thunder LFR.
Oh, because of the 480 item level of the 483 item level, of course. Yeah.
Right. So they were all jumping into TOT LFR, and for those guys that are picking up stuff for the legendary cloak, quest, it was throwing everybody off. So it was just this whole imbalance of, you had a few people that really knew what was going on, and then you had these other guys that didn't know what anything was doing at all. So it's just kind of, it was very, it was very different. It was just a very different approach for both those groups. So it was not lining up very well.
I can imagine. It's sort of, it's an uneasy balance between, and I think this has always been the concern for me with boosted 90s, is it's really, really hard. Like, it's the difference between like leveling a DK and leveling a mage from level 1. It's like you suddenly have all these abilities and you're sort of like, okay, I have to work out what each one of these does and how to use them together. And like there's a slight shortage of like really good, simple guides out there. And another problem, like someone, Miles KG21 in chat room has just reminded me of another issue which people have been facing, which is like a colleague of mine boosted a rogue, which in its standard issue gear was neither hit nor expertise capped.
Right. Which was another great part of that whole deal, as far as for rating especially goes.
Yes.
Anything rating, you weren't going to hit anything. You weren't going to hit crap with that gear.
And it's like the amount of people who would have just been like, look, I've got my 483, but I'm not going to look at my stats because like I've got my 483 gear. And it said it tailored it to my spec. So, I'm going to be hitting expertise capped. Ob goes into Throne of Thunder like miss. Well, crap.
Right. I'm doing great DPS. I got like 10K going. What do you think? Is that good, guys? Is that good
for a rogue, right? That's good for a rogue. That's good for a rogue.
all of my hits are just vanishing. All right. Anyway, so let's move on a little bit. And we did see some new stuff happen this week. And the first thing was actually new dwarf picks, right? So we have new female dwarf picks. Yep. That were uploaded, when was that? Last week, I think?
Last week, yeah. I think it was late last week.
Okay, so what do you think of the new dwarf picks that we've seen?
I think that they are a vast improvement on the old ones. And I think, like, a lot of the complaints about the old ones related to the face, to the sunken eyes, and to the sort of, like, that she looked tired.
Right.
I think that top one is the best one of the three. Like, I feel like she still looks weird on the second ones. Like, I don't like the face at all. Like, her eyes on this one just look flat to me. Like,
okay. All right. I can kind of see that.
What do you think? What's your take on them?
It's definitely better. I think the initial reaction for me was that the face kind of looked like a gnome face on a dwarf body, so it was just really strange. And I think that this is a little bit better. I'm not saying it's... I've never been very partial to the female dwarf. I mean, just in general. I know you love them, so...
I love them, and I think that's possibly why I'm a little bit more sort of sensitive about the models, because I do love the dwarf so much. So I'm sort of looking at them thinking, would I play this? And I definitely think the eyes look way better. And I think that one thing that they've done well is they've just not got her at these extremes of the expression. Like in the last ones, they had her like with her mouth wide open, like obviously in the middle of sort of a rolling belly laugh sort of thing. And with these ones, they've kind of got with the mouth closed and like the eyes are sort of squinted down as if she's angry in most of them. So I think that that's probably good because they don't look quite so cartoony and accentuated as before.
Yeah.
So I think they're definitely an improvement. But yeah, it's sort of, I'm still like, I want to see some of the other faces because at the moment I can't work out which face this is.
Right. And and you know that there's going to be a lot more, artwork along with that stuff as far as, releasing the different faces and all this kind of stuff. So
I think people are kind of freaking out, and I don't know if you've seen it. People are freaking out that it's going to be just one face for everything.
No, it's not going to be just one face, guys. It can't be, right?
Exactly.
They've never done the one face model.
Well, I suppose they did kind of for the Pandaren. Like the Pandaren had lots of different markings, but the face structure was there actually any variation for the Lady Panda face structure, or was it just the markings? I think it's just the...
I think it was just the markings, but I mean that's kind of like the big deal on the pandas, right? So I mean it's not too...
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully we won't see that. And we've also heard we've got the female Draenor coming next week.
Yeah.
And then I believe we've got the Tauren male. So senior art director Chris Robinson was tweeting about this on Twitter, where you tweet about things. It's an obvious place to do it. About stuff on Facebook.
Right.
And it's sort of like, I don't know, obviously we don't have any pictures of that because it's coming next week and we'll talk about it then for sure. But what are you hoping to see anything? Are you excited about the female Draenor?
I think the entire World of Warcraft is excited about the female Draenor. I think that everybody likes that character model just in general.
Yeah, for sure. Like, they're a great looking model.
It seems to be very popular. So I mean, it's very cool. So I'm just hoping that they update it like they have with everything else, make it look awesome. And just try their best as far as not going too far with it. I think that, you know, with a female dwarf, maybe a little bit too far in some instances. It just seems a little off to me still.
Yeah, agreed. I still don't feel like it's set. I don't feel like they should stop working on it. Put it that way. I don't feel like they should sort of be like, right, done with that. We go.
They also did say about character models that they weren't sure if at release of Warlords of Draenor, whether or not all character models would be available. They said that may not be the case, that all new character models may not be available at the release, but they're trying for it. So
that's kind of, and it's like, it makes you wonder a little bit, like, why are they starting with the Draenor, because they're the NPC element of the expansion. Like, they're working on those because like there's going to be so many Draenor NPCs, and we've got Draenor, and it's going to be Draenor and Orcs and everything, and we kind of know that's to be the case already.
Right.
But it seems like, I don't know, like, what have we not seen? We've seen the human female, but we've not seen any human males. I can't believe they do one gender of a race and not the other. Like, to me, that would just be really...
Well, they got to update the porn stash, right? So, I mean,
and that hair.
They really have to update all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So it's just like interesting, but we haven't seen any night elves at all. In fact, we haven't seen any blood elves or night elves, so no elf characters whatsoever. Right. We're gonna see some Taurens, so that's good. And I'm sure they're working on all of this. But like, if it comes out in like November and they still haven't got them done, I'm a bit like,
yeah, no, I hear you.
We've waited this long and they're not all done.
Yeah,
like, I understand there's a lot of work that has to be done.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they've got to do the animations, they've got to do all the armor, they've got to redo the rigging, they've got all of the stuff that they've had to do. But wow, there's a December end date on this, you guys.
Yeah, it does seem like, you know, all of the it's kind of like, okay, so at BlizzCon or after BlizzCon, they were talking about how the Blizz developers were talking about how far ahead they were, or, you know, how shocked they were how far ahead they were compared to where they thought they might be. And now we're starting to see these things happen with, you know, no new character models by release, or not all new character models by release.
Yeah.
And like, all these little things are kind of like,
yeah.
I am disappointed.
I am disappointed too. I was hoping that we would be seeing like more regularity, at least with like the Artcraft blogs coming out.
Right.
You know, like we had that one period where we got like a couple in relatively quick succession.
Yeah.
Including the lady, like it basically went female human, female orc, female dwarf, if I remember rightly. And we'd already seen several at BlizzCon. But it's just like, you know, where is the rest of this stuff? This is one gender out of 11 races. It's obviously only 8 of which they're actually doing. So out of 16, we've seen what, like 6 now, and not most of them not animated.
Right.
It's just like,
right.
Yeah. These raids had better be really good.
Well, it sounds like that. It sounds like that part is kind of cooking along. I mean, as far as they've got kind of the basic design plans for all the encounters going on, so that's good. Yes, and we've kind of they've allowed us to see that even at BlizzCon. Yeah. So that sounds great. Mm-hmm. I guess the next thing is going to be professions that we're going to be talking about tonight.
Yeah, exactly. So we've had chat about those, haven't we, on Twitter? Yeah,
so there was some Twitter talk about profession catch-ups. Why don't you catch us up on the catch-ups?
Yeah, so this person, I believe it's Helen Wu. I'm not 100% certain on that. But Whom, at HWOOME on the Twitters, has been basically talking about profession catch-ups, saying, of the various catch-ups we experimented with in Mists, we liked herbalism stroke mining the best. So if you remember that was added in 5.3 or 5.2, I can't remember which one. But it was it was 5.4 even, maybe. But you were basically able to farm nodes for herbalism and mining in Pandaria. So even if you were a level 1, level 1 herbalist, obviously you had to be of a reasonable level to actually get to Pandaria in the first place. But if you had a level 1 herbalism character, you could like farm up the herbalism materials in fragments from farming nodes. So say you started with level 1 and you farmed a green tea leaf node, and you might get a fragment of green tea leaf and you'd get like this tiny piece, or you might get a tiny like little bit of ghost iron ore and you combine 10 of those and then you make one ghost iron ore or one green tea leaf.
Right.
And that sort of thing that's how it worked. So they're looking at that as a sort of, that's the way that they like the best, and they're saying that there's a plan for more for that. So like, I guess that covers leatherworking, sorry, not leatherworking, that covers skinning.
Right.
Skinning, herbalism, mining.
Yeah. So so you kill an animal and you go and you grab it and you just cut off the tail. That's all you get.
Yeah, exactly. A tiny piece of leather off of the thing.
I just got a little tuft of fur. Oh, look at this.
And she's also then gone on to talk about the crafting professions, saying that she's not sure how much she's allowed to share yet, since design is always in flux, but the plan is to tie in with gated material generation, which is just like, yes, oh my god, fantastic. Like that is just awesome, isn't it? Right?
So
like,
so what does that mean as far as like tying into gated
okay, so
stuff?
what they're basically saying is like, so say for example, we're talking about mining with blacksmithing.
Okay.
So you're mining your way through Pandaria, clink, 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 endless clinking. And then you're like, well, I'm going to level my blacksmith. Oh, crap, I can't because I don't have any copper. I don't have any tin. I don't have any silver. I don't have any mithril. I don't have any of the things that I need to level my blacksmithing from nothing to the point where I hit Pandaria materials. So what if I read her correctly, saying that they're crafting it in with gated material generation, it implies to me that maybe they're allowing you to use these catch-up things to actually craft as well. So in this particular example I've been given. So
you'd be able to like use the pieces in order
maybe the pieces, maybe the pieces, or maybe like the full items. So then you're but the point being that you're actually able to get from nothing to maxed out in new content without having to go back. As far as I've understood it from her Twitter. So they're saying that you're not actually going to have to like go back to Elwyn Forest and mine out copper ore in order to level your blacksmithing anymore. You're not going to have to do that for engineering, and they're going to make the recipes adapt to the new stuff in the new continent and so on and so forth, which is awesome. And I mean, like honestly, if they manage to do that, I can't think of much else they could do to improve profession leveling.
Because nobody likes being stuck at Ungoro Crater for 3 or 4 weeks trying to get enough leather to make stuff happen. Oh,
I've never leveled leatherworking because so many people have just said, oh my god, don't even bother. It's the worst profession to level.
I actually did it really, really nice and easy. Here's what I did. Oh, yeah? I boosted a level 60 character. And
that's actually probably the best way to do it. That's actually, like, honestly, I kind of kicking myself now for not doing that, because, you know, why would you not? Like, I would actually pay the $60 just to not have to level leatherworking if people.
So the $60 makes sense. Look at this.
At last, finally, it is.
You're gonna do my professions for me? All right, cool, man. I'm gonna select engineering, blacksmithing. Let's go. Yeah,
suddenly worth it. It's suddenly worth. Someone saying it out loud said leather level working. Yes, I'm gonna leather my level working with a $60 boost. That's the plan.
That's right.
I guess, like, on the other hand, you know, would you say that they're getting too easy? Like, particularly things like herbalism isn't hard to level right now.
No.
Do you feel that's
well? No? Well, I think that it's good that they're trying different things as far as, you know, here's another option for you. If you really want to go around Miss Pandaria and you want to kind of level, but you're not in like a big hurry or anything like that, and you can go around and kill mobs and still get all the items that you need for, you know, any of the quests that you have outstanding or whatever. I mean, if you just want to go kill some rares or something like that, that's cool. And then you can, you know, go and you know, pick up some herbs and just, you know, kind of casually level up. I mean, if you're going to go hardcore, I would suggest probably going back to square one. Mm-hmm. But and that's only because I think traffic is a little bit lighter, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly. I do think that there's elements where you can actually sort of get through certain bits faster by going back to the earlier levels, like particularly with herbalism, like Swamp of Sorrows. Once you get to the point where you're going into Swamp of Sorrows, like you can barely move for herbs down there. Like you can literally like walk a step and it's herbs just everywhere, and they're just like they're literally everywhere. I kid you not. And like going through Deep Home as well. Once you get up to that point, like leveling through Deep Home is so fast for herbalism. There's literally everything everywhere. So I do think that the going back is faster in certain places, but I also think that a big thing in the favor of the catch-up systems is that it actually allows you to spend all your time in this new continent, which is what they want you to do. You know, they don't want to say, oh look, here's our expansion, enjoy your time in Ungoro Crater, enjoy your time in the Deep Home. You know, they want to say, come to look, we made this lovely new place, you should herb in it, you should gather all its herbs, it'll be delightful.
And that seems to be kind of the case for a lot of things that they're doing for Warlords, just in general, is that they want to make sure that you're playing with your friends, playing in the right place, and trying to make sure that your enjoyment is actually in. I don't know. It seems like they really want to make sure that you're doing everything where you feel like you're comfortable, right? So you're at level, you're doing things at level, and
exactly.
Farming in the wild. So
that's
good. That's good. We also have something about Blingtron coming up.
Yes, we do. We found out some exciting stuff about Blingtron, and talking about engineering, obviously, which is how you make him. So Jonathan LeCraft, who is basically he's another lead. I believe he's a lead designer. Not sure if he's a lead or a senior, but anyway, he's high up in the design thing, and a lot of what he does is the battle pets.
Right.
So he's been talking about, he's the master of Blingtron, and he's been saying, is Blingtron 5000 making his debut in Warlords, which was the question asked. Yes, engineers will be able to construct a new Blingtron with new gifts, and it will fight other Blingtrons to the death.
Which is amazing. This is so cool.
That is so cool. It is an awesome idea. It's an awesome potential feature. And it's just like, and he's talking about like, you know, you could win bragging rights with it. You could win a bonus for actually winning one of those fights with your Blingtron. Yep. And like, goodness knows, I assume it's going to be something along the lines of a pet battle. Like
I would, but except for they would just go ahead and fight each other. I think that would be hilarious too.
Yeah, maybe that's what they do, is just go ahead and like the
weren't there the Pandaren pets or something like that? Was it Pandaren, or was it there was some other pet?
There's the two robots that will fight.
Oh, that's right.
The robots that you get will fight, and I believe that some other pairs of pets will fight.
Right.
Something like the Clockwork Rocket bots.
So
they'll fight.
So it'll be something like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's just like, you know, and the other thing that she was talking about is the wormhole generators, which if you're familiar with engineering, and you will probably remember the wormhole generator that goes to Northrend. And just occasionally will like drop you somewhere in midair and you'll die.
I love those. Are you kidding me? Those are great. Those are incredible.
Like, and he's talking about a sort of adaptation, which I almost like better, which is the wormhole centrifuge. And it says, pick 2 locations from a list. You will get sent to one of them.
Oh, man.
And it's just like, that to me is just hilarious. Like it's just so funny, the idea of like, okay, so you've got to pick one of these locations, and I can feel things like, I don't know, it being like Orgrimmar or Silvermoon.
Right.
And you're going to end up in one of those two. Like you're going to head back to the old world, but you might be in completely the wrong place. And I love that idea. It kind of reminds me of, you know, at the end of raid night, when the mage has maybe had a little bit too much to drink during the raid and just sets up portal after portal after portal, and you play portal roulette. Yes. Exactly.
And you go in there and you go, all right, I hope I don't get old Dalaran.
Oh my god, yeah, exactly. Or like, I mean, I don't know, like Portal to Theramore, if you haven't done the scenario, will kill you as well. Sorry, if you have done the scenario, it will kill you. I can't remember which way around it is. I believe if you have done the scenario, it will kill you. If you haven't done the scenario, it won't, because it will drop you in like the old Theramore, not in the new Theramore. Obviously, it's a crater in the ground after the scenario is gone. Right. So they're sort of talking about. He goes on to say, we don't want it to be a perfect teleport. It'll be useful about half the time, and that's just about right for engineering. And someone responds saying, will there be a chance of it going wrong, teleporting you somewhere else?
It should.
And they're saying, well, no, it'd be one of the two, but you might be a sheep or on fire or both.
I like it.
I love it. I just love it. Like,
That's
engineering is just it's such a fun profession, and
it is.
it's like it's actually one of the few, and you know, where you get these really cool toys, and like I do engineering not just because it's a great profession, but also just because you get such fun stuff from doing it.
You get fun stuff, and then you get this random chance of awfulness, which is so great. I mean, it's great when you power up your boots and you fly through your raid or whatever, but then there's always that chance where you just get blown straight up into the air and you die.
Yeah.
And everybody blames you for failing at the raid that time, and it's like, oh jeez, really, guys?
It's like I don't know, like there's sort of, I'd love to see more sort of different thing. Like there was that one thing in Cataclysm which allowed you to jump really high, and if that wouldn't promote, like if they were able to make that like not usable in battlegrounds and not usable in arenas, then I'd just be like, yes, I'm all over actually letting people use that to just jump really high and jump onto things, like particularly with no flying. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was called the something like gravity thing, something along those lines, but it was just like such a cool little thing that you just activated and you just jumped, but you had to jump on the spot. It didn't let you jump forwards or jump backwards. It just jumped up and down. And that sort of thing would be really cool to see again. Yeah. And I'd love to see just like anything that's fun for engineering, like the rocket boots, the parachutes. I just want to see more sort of travel stuff for engineering as well, particularly when you've got the lack of flying in the early part of Draenor. I think it's going to be really cool.
I think they need to do that more for a lot of the professions, actually.
Yeah. What would you say for other ones?
Gosh, I don't even know. But I think they need some kind of random. I love the randomness of it. You know, that potential for big pain or death or, you know, whatever. But it's always kind of fun. So I hope that they can, you know, kind of capture some of that for some of the other professions at least. And
like, what would you say? What would you make? What would you have for different professions then, Pat? I'm putting you on the spot right now.
Man,
that's on. Do it.
I don't know. I mean, like have like you know, like let's see, let's have the cloth the guys. Let's have them make toys, or let's have them make something kind of weird. I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of. You could have it for anybody. I mean, leather workers or blacksmiths or whatever. But
yeah, like imagine if like tailors could like make little rag dolls that would fight and be battle pets. I'd love that. That would be cool.
Yeah, or leather workers could make like little you know, those cowboy ponies with the stick. You know, those broomstick ponies or whatever. So they can make those, and then they could, you know, just whatever. And then
like rocking horses. And they could make rocking horses.
And you get maybe a little boost in your walking speed or something like that. That'd be great. Come on.
That would be so good. All right, you have to email Crafticus and ask for that right now, because that would be amazing.
That'd be cool.
And it's like, that would be so cool. And actually, talking about crafting, we also heard this week about Spirits of Harmony are not going to be going account bound.
Right.
Which I think were you surprised by that?
Well, not really. I mean, when we come to the end of an expansion, we normally see stuff like this happen with crafting materials, where they all of a sudden are like, you know what, everybody that wants to make money off of this has already made money off of this. Nobody's making money off of this anymore, so let's just open it up to everybody, and now we can just sell them or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like, well, like Chaos Orbs, which was the Cataclysm equivalent, went BOE even, not even BOA, which is what people have been asking for with the last patch of the expansion. And that just resulted in them going up on the auction house and getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. But I mean, they were much harder to get hold of than Spirits of Harmony. Like you can get Spirits of Harmony the Motes of Harmony, excuse me, to use the correct term, from quite a lot of different sources and combine them together. Whereas Chaos Orbs, you basically had to do dungeons and then get lucky on the roll at the end. Like you had, like there was always the last boss of a dungeon would drop a Chaos Orb, and you'd have to roll in and just be like, right, okay, I brought 3 guildmates with me, so I know I'm going to get the Chaos Orb.
Right.
Something along those lines. So I think, although I am slightly surprised that they're not BOA, they are at least easier to get hold of than Chaos Orbs. Yes. It drives me crazy. I mean, at least you can sell them for Golden Lotuses and actually make money off them still. Like, there's still stuff that you can use to make money from Spirits of Harmony, even on characters that don't have any crafting professions.
Right.
But it kind of makes me wonder, like, I'd love to hear your opinion on this, Pat, particularly as a raiding-focused player. Like, what more could they do to make professions a little bit more viable through expansions?
I think the biggest thing for raiders out there is to make sure that they're always kind of updating the patterns, right? So I mean, you want to make sure that you put the patterns at just under where you think that people are going to be starting for raids. And I think that that's always good. You need a good solid base, and I think that especially for new people that are coming into the game, or those guys that have maybe they didn't raid the last raid tier or whatever, and they want to catch up, and they want to catch up fairly quick. And as long as they have friends, they should be able to do it fairly fast. I mean, that's kind of always been my thing, is that I want everybody to be able to play together. And that would be one more way for people to actually get together and play in this game is to make sure that you have. I mean, profession catch-ups. Yeah, that's cool. What about gear catch-ups? Maybe we should do that too.
Yeah, and I think that that's actually something which makes it really good for professions, because they become a way that's viable. They need to be a way that it's viable to make money with them through the expansion. Right. And engineering is historically terrible for this. Like, you have the scope and you have the helmets with the cogwheels that you can equip, but those stop being viable after the first tier of an expansion.
Right.
And then then you have things like the Sky Golem, which come out randomly really late in the expansion. But it's hard to make money consistently with engineering. So it's sort of like if they want to change it so you can make money all the time, then they can just make sure that there's little upgrade, little change, little in between the tiers. And I think that's perfect. It's a really good idea, just to use blacksmithing, leatherworking, tailoring to fill in those gaps, so that there's not this big jump in gear, and just to fill in the gaps in just general gear that you did get, even if you were raiding. I'm so unlucky with the RNG that I could end up with some braces that are eye level 463 still at this point even.
I know. Yeah. It's kind of terrible. I mean, some of the professions just haven't really been all that awesome throughout Mists of Pandaria, and it's just been kind of a little disappointing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's doing things like locking the recipes behind reputation grinds.
Yeah, that's always tough.
Don't do that again, guys. Please.
No.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
That's not.
Do it for a mount. Do it if I was a leather worker and I could craft myself a hobby horse, which is what we call those little stick horses in England. Yeah. From I had to grind out some random reputation. Fine, I'd be absolutely fine with that.
That'd be cool.
But if I have to do it to get some basic craft recipe, hell no. No. And I want those to be upgraded as the expansion goes along.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. Let's move it along, and let's talk a little bit about raiding for Warlords. There's going to be actually some changes coming in 6.0 so that they can test Mythic. Is that correct?
That is correct. So Watcher, which is lead encounter designer Ian Hazakostas, who's at WatcherDev on Twitter.
Follow that guy, by the way.
Yeah, seriously, follow that guy. He doesn't actually have 10,000 followers yet, which, considering he actually designs he has the leadership on the design of every single encounter in the game. If you're into PvE, he makes the game for you. Right. Follow him on the Twitters at WatcherDev.
Yes.
But yeah, he's talking about the changes that they're making in 6.0. And actually he's saying the Siege of Orgrimmar is going to be going into a few weeks of 20-player Mythic, along with Flexible, Normal, and Heroic, before Draenor unlocks. And then someone sort of goes and says, oh, wait, seriously? Wait, you're doing this? So are you guys fully retuning all of the current tier raids to be compatible with class changes in 6.0, or only Heroic straight Mythic? Because obviously, don't forget, we've got the rename of Confusion coming.
Yes.
So Ian responds saying, Siege of Orgrimmar, all difficulties. Prior zones aren't changing in structural tuning, but they are trivialized by gear. So he's actually he's saying here that they are going to be taking Siege of Orgrimmar and adapting it to the new talents, the item squish, the stat squish, and compatible with class changes in 6.0. Right. So we know that there's a lot of those coming.
Right. Yeah. just a few changes for.
Yeah, and this is pretty huge for raiding, right, Pat? This is this is a big deal. Have we had this happen for last tier of the expansions before?
No, we haven't. And the big reason is that they're all switching over to Mythic. So I think that the big thing is that they really want to see how Mythic does in live, I guess.
Yeah.
Before the expansion, so that they can just make any kind of fine tuning that they need to make. As they kind of gear up for that. So this is a very new thing, having just one raid size moving into this next expansion, and yeah, it's it's kind of exciting. I kind of like it.
It is kind of exciting. Do you think this is gonna help guilds with the transition from the current raid sizes into the mythic raiding size? Obviously, we've also got the flexible, normal, and heroic coming with this.
Right.
Because they're cross realm right now, aren't they?
Yes.
Normal and heroic is fully cross realm.
We're fully cross realm right now. We have normal and heroic all cross realm, which is great, and you can still do that in 10 and 25.
But that's not flexible.
It's not flexible. No.
Still fixed sizes.
Right.
So that's a ton of work that they're doing.
Yeah.
That is a ton of work that they're doing.
Right. Well, and it was kind of weird because what Ian said, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, was he tweeted out that somebody was asking, whether or not normal and heroic, this is before it happened, of course, whether normal would become cross realm soon. And he said, well, we can't do it quite yet, because we can't unlink normal from heroic for some reason. And then like a week later, it was just, you know what? Screw it, guys. Let's just go out and have fun. Let's just everybody have a good time. Everything's cross-realm. Screw it. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? So, you know what? We found that switch. We are going to flip it.
That's right. Might as well just flip the switch.
Whatever. Like fun. If you haven't, I suppose the only complaint would be realms where you don't have the realm first already. Like, I can see that being a little bit irritating if you're trying to get realm first on your Siege of Orgrimmar 10-man heroic Garrosh kill or somthing. You might be a bit like,
well, but the thing with I guess you can still get the realm achievement, but you need to have the correct number of people.
Yeah, exactly. You need to have the 8 people. I think it's 8 and 10 and 20 and is it 20 and 25? Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not sure what the numbers are.
It's definitely 8 and 10 because it's the same as for guild kills.
Right.
And it's definitely 8 and 10, but I couldn't comment on 25. Right. And I mean, like, I don't know. So we've got the big changes happening with Siege of Orgrimmar 4 6.0. Do you think, Pat, like as our raiding and guild leading expert here, do you think that this is these sort of changes which are coming in? So you've got the cross-realm normal and heroic right now, and then we've got the promise of this other content change. I mean, it's kind of rejuvenating the content, although it's not new content as such. Is this enough for raiding guilds to actually weather the storm of no content?
I think that for a lot of guilds, this actually fits the bill because don't forget, we also have the boost to 90, right? So you can do new characters with all new friends, get together in an all new raid group or whatever, and be able to find new people pretty easily. And so I think that for now it will suffice, but we got to see something in the next few weeks in order to kind of we need to see some forward movement from Blizzard in the next like 2 or 3 weeks, I would say. I think they bought themselves a little bit of time, but not a lot of time because
totally.
Because don't forget that Siege of Orgrimmar has been out for over 6 months now, and this is officially the longest time that we've ever had to wait for any new content ever. Ever.
Yep, pretty much that, and we're not done waiting.
And that was from there was a tweet from Adam Holinsky, actually.
Yeah, exactly. He actually sort of it was kind of an interesting way of looking at it. If you went and you considered betas to be new content,
right? And
that's kind of an interesting it's kind of an interesting sort of way to consider it. So if you consider betas new content, which for the community, for the people watching Legendary, it gives us new stuff to talk about. It gives us new stuff to discuss with you. It gives us, new content to cover. And in a way for that group of people, for that community group, it is therefore kind of like new content, even though they can't actually play it necessarily. Right. Like not everyone is in the beta. Not everyone was even in the Mists of Pandaria beta, and that was a huge one. And that is this is the biggest gap if you consider betas already. Like we're already at the biggest gap.
Yes.
We are already there.
By a long shot too. I think it's like 3 months or something like that. I mean, it's a long time that we've had to wait for new content, longer than ever before, and by a long shot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like even like we're catching up to Dragon Soul.
Yeah.
Like if you actually start ignoring betas, we're not far off the Dragon Soul time lapse now. September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So we've been 6 months in Siege of Orgrimmar so far. And, it's not going to be out. It's not going to be out before 9 months is up. So this is a pretty chunky gap.
Yeah.
And like ICC went on forever, but you had Ruby Sanctum. And they've said very clearly that there's not going to be a Ruby Sanctum. They're not going to be throwing that in. And sure, that wasn't really like a proper raid tier.
I kind of almost want a Ruby Sanctum. I mean, done the right way, I kind of want a Ruby Sanctum.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I don't know. Like, I mean, people are tweeting and telling me about how they're losing raiders, and just any kind of anything would help.
Right.
Like, you know, sure, Ruby Sanctum wasn't awesome. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that a Ruby Sanctum Hallion will save us. You know, it's not going to work like that. But it's just like, wow, that is, oh man, it's a really hard time. It's a really hard time for fan sites as well. We're all trying to generate content here for you guys, to keep you guys interested and excited, and it sucks for us as well.
And the question is, it brings up other questions, and one of the questions that comes to my mind is about the beta. Or the beta, either way. And wondering how quick that's going to be turning around, because we haven't heard anything about an open beta. That is probably not going to be happening, as far as, I mean, from all the information that's kind of coming in. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a thing.
Doesn't sound like it.
So do you think that this could be a quicker turnaround within beta if we don't have like everybody being able to be in it? Do you think that it'll be less than 6 months? Do you think it'll be...
I don't know. I mean, like, I actually spoke to, even back at Gamescom in August, people were already worried about this, the extent where I said, look, I get the opportunity to sit down with Tom Chilton, who's the game director, and Corey Stockton, and ask them questions. What should I ask them? The internet, Twitter, tell me what to do. And they were saying, you know, ask them about Siege of Orgrimmar, like, how long are we going to be in Siege of Orgrimmar? And I was saying, well, you know, if it's going to be a 6-month beta for, like Mists of Pandaria, is it going to be that long? And they basically said, look, it's not going to be shorter. It'll take as long as it takes. And that's now, so every time I think about it, I think about that interview, and I'm just like, I really
and maybe that's the reason why we have this kind of lull in news right now, is because Blizzard has always been a big proponent of taking time where it's needed to make sure that things are rolling out correctly, right? So, so maybe this is another case of that, where something went wrong, and the problem right now is that they're not communicating that at all. So
for sure, any kind of, like, they just need to communicate. Like, if stuff maybe the beta's coming out tomorrow, maybe it'll hit tomorrow, and like, they just need to communicate that. Whatever's like, if there's going to be another month's delay to the beta because of some massive technical error that they've had with the item squish and the game's exploded, tell people. Like, people are going to freak out, but at least, like, this absence of news is just like, this absence of communication, like this sort of tumbleweed system is just like, it's, come on, guys, give us something.
it's a little disappointing. So I don't know.
And I mean, ESO is coming out very, very soon. So it's unlike Blizzard to do anything in the same week as ESO launches.
We've got, I mean, there are lots of games that are kind of coming out this year, this summer, this spring. And so, man, if they don't come out with something soon, who knows what's going to happen, right?
Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? And it would be interesting to see. I really hope there's going to be some more news coming up soon.
Right. But unfortunately, that's all the non-news that we have for tonight.
Yes, that's all the absence of news we've got to ramble about for you guys this evening.
Olivia Grace, you can always catch her all over the internet all the time. Zam, WoW Insider, Gamebreaker.
All those good places.
And probably more. You never know.
No doubt. It's just a matter of time before I'm on every website on the internet.
That is correct. And my name is Pat Crane. No, there we go. I got the right one. And you can swing over to convertraid.com. We do Convert to Raid right here on Sunday on gamebreaker.tv. So we will see you next week for another Legendary. Bye, guys.